Tonight, the new scrutiny on President Trump's pardons, including those two reality TV stars, Todd and Julie Chrisley. Trump also pardoning a convicted tax cheat whose mother attended a $1 million fundraising dinner for Trump. The president also said today that he's open to pardoning the men convicted of a scheme to kidnap or kill Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, saying they were drinking and they said stupid things. The world's richest man, Elon Musk, criticizing President Trump's big, beautiful funding bill, saying it undermines the work that the Doge team is doing. The president says he's confident it will get through, even as hundreds of voters shout down a congressman at his own town hall. The motion to dismiss at the Diddy trial and how the judge then ruled, and days after her emotional and dramatic testimony, Combs' ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura gives birth to her third child. The chaos and sheer desperation in Gaza for food as the Palestinian ambassador breaks down at the UN. She was the head of Trump's coronavirus response. Tonight, Dr. Deborah Birx joins us. Does she agree with that new guidance that children and pregnant women should not get the COVID shot? The blurring lines of what's real and not real on social media. Our in-depth report into artificially intelligent influencers.
Someone would say these things to a digital twin of mine and nearly abuse her. Would they say those same things to me in real life?
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is Prime with Lindsay Davis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We begin with a new scrutiny on President Trump's latest string of pardons. He's exercising his presidential right, but some of the pardons are politically charged. The president issued a full pardon to reality stars Todd and Julie Chrisley, the husband and wife duo, serving time in separate prisons for tax evasion and fraud. A short time ago, both walked out of prison. The president also said he'll now take a look at pardoning the men convicted of a violent plot to kidnap and kill Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, saying they were drinking and they said stupid things. The president adding, their case looked like to me, some kind of a railroad job, since he pardoned nearly 1,600 people charged or convicted of January 6 related crimes. The president has gone on to pardon or commute the sentences of 60 more people, and that includes more than a dozen other people just today. Our chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl, leads us off.
Tonight, Donald Trump made it official, issuing a pardon of reality TV stars Todd and Julie Chrisley, who were serving prison sentences for tax evasion and bank fraud. Today, their daughter thanking the president as she waited for her father's release.
I'm just so grateful that I'm going to leave here with my dad.
The couple served just over 2 years behind bars. Todd was sentenced to 12 years, Julie 7. Just yesterday, the president breaking the news he intended to issue the pardon in a call to their daughter.
It's a great thing because your parents are going to be free and clean.
For years, the Chrisleys portrayed themselves as self-made real estate tycoons on their show, Chrisley Knows Best, showcasing a life of luxury.
Prada is better than Gucci.
Gucci's better than Prada.
I don't even know what Prada is.
But federal prosecutors called the couple career swindlers who have made a living by jumping from one fraud scheme to another, saying they defrauded banks of more than $30 million, using the money on luxury cars, homes, and clothes. Daughter Savannah, a Trump supporter, had lobbied for the pardon, suggesting in a speech at the Republican National Convention that her parents were targeted because of their politics and celebrity.
Due to our public profile and conservative beliefs, they accused my parents of fraud.
And less than 2 months after Trump met with Michigan's Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer at the White House,
We're honored to have Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan, great state of Michigan. And she's really done an excellent job and a very good person.
Trump said today he is considering pardoning a group of men in connection with a plot to kidnap Whitmer back in 2020. The two alleged ringleaders of the plot are now serving sentences of 16 and 19 years in prison. Today, Trump suggested they were not guilty.
It looked to me like somewhat of a railroad job. I'll be honest with you. It looked to me like some people said some stupid things. You know, they were drinking, and I think they said stupid things. But I'll take a look at that.
Last month, Trump pardoned Paul Walsack, a nursing home executive convicted of cheating on his taxes, erasing an 18-month prison sentence and a $4.4 million penalty. The New York Times reporting the pardon came 3 weeks after his mother attended a $1 million per person fundraiser at Mar-a-Lago.
John Carl joins us now. John, a string of pardons from President Trump. Is there a through line here, a common thread to these pardons?
Well, first of all, Lindsay, we're seeing many more pardons earlier than we saw in Trump's first term as president. In terms of a through line, one thing we are seeing over and over again are people with clear political ties to Donald Trump or supporters of Donald Trump. Just today, the White House announced several additional pardons, including one for former Republican Congressman of New York, Michael Grimm, and also former Republican Governor of Connecticut, John Rowland, both of whom had been convicted of tax fraud and other federal crimes, and now today pardoned by Donald Trump.
John Carl for us in the nation's capital. John, thank you. ABC News has learned that Elon Musk is set to depart the Trump administration, leaving his role as special government employee. His offboarding begins tonight. Musk tweeted a thank you to President Trump, saying that his Doge team will continue its work. This comes after Musk broke with the president on his so-called big, beautiful bill. Musk pointed to the level of spending and what it could do to the deficit, saying it undermines the work his team has been doing, cutting jobs. And there's anger at town halls. One congressman who admitted he didn't read the whole bill was told to grow a spine. Our senior political correspondent Rachel Scott reports.
Tonight, Elon Musk breaking with the president on his massive spending bill, arguing it would undo their own efforts to shrink the size of the federal government.
I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing.
The bill Republicans just pushed through the House, officially called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, promises to slash federal spending by $1.5 trillion, with major cuts to Medicaid and food assistance programs. But the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office now estimates it will add $3.8 trillion to the national deficit over the next 10 years.
I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both. My personal opinion.
Republicans in their own home districts press to defend the spending package.
I am going to do the very best job I can on your behalf.
At a town hall in Nebraska, Republican Congressman Mike Flood admitting he wasn't aware of everything that was in the bill when he voted for it.
This provision was unknown to me when I voted for the bill.
Late today at the White House, the president asked about Elon Musk and his criticism. President Trump saying he isn't completely satisfied either with the bill, that among other things extends his 2017 tax cuts and sets aside nearly $50 billion to resume construction on the border wall.
I'm not happy about certain aspects of it, but I'm thrilled by other aspects of it. That's the way they go. It's very big. It's the big, beautiful bill.
Our thanks to Rachel Scott. And tonight we've just learned a federal court has ruled President Trump does not have the power to impose tariffs unilaterally. Since April, his administration has faced numerous lawsuits challenging the ability to levy those tariffs without Congress. It's not clear what will happen now to any tariffs currently in place. There were more dramatic moments in the courtroom during the sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs. At one point, the defense even asked for a mistrial. Also today, the jury heard serious allegations from a former stylist. Legal contributor Shauna Lloyd is standing by. But first, Chief Investigative Reporter Aaron Katursky is at the courthouse.
Tonight, Sean Combs' ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, the star witness in the case, has given birth to her third child less than 2 weeks after her emotional testimony. Today, the jury heard her former stylist testified he witnessed Combs beating Ventura until her head hit a bed frame. This graphic photo showing the bloody gash. Deontay Nash testified Combs looked at him and said, "Look what y'all made me do." The defense has argued Combs' violence is not evidence of sex trafficking. Today, his attorneys asked for a mistrial. The request came during the testimony of an arson investigator who responded to Kid Cudi's home when the rapper's Porsche was torched with a Molotov cocktail. He showed the jury pictures of a slash in the canvas top, a malt liquor bottle, and a burned cloth used as a wick. Defense attorneys have said Combs was simply not involved, and today they accused prosecutors of unfairly suggesting Combs was responsible for the destruction of 2 fingerprints lifted from Kid Cudi's front door. There's no way to unring this bell, a defense attorney said, demanding a mistrial. The judge denied it.
And so the trial continues. Our chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky joins us now from outside of the courthouse. Aaron, what can we expect in court tomorrow?
The next witness is going to be a former employee who was accused Sean Combs of abuse. She's going to testify under the pseudonym Mia. Lindsay, this is all part of a racketeering conspiracy allegation. Arson, forced labor, kidnapping, threats, violence, coercion. It's all part of a criminal enterprise that federal prosecutors say Sean Combs was running. And of course, Lindsay, he denies those allegations.
Aaron Katersky for us. Aaron, thank you. For more on this, let's bring in trial attorney and ABC News legal analyst Shauna Lloyd. Shauna, thanks so much for joining us. Great to have you here in studio.
Great to be here.
So a lot happened in court. You were inside the courtroom today. Let's start with Deontay Nash. That stylist, your main takeaway from his testimony?
Main takeaway is that he really reinforced several ideas for us. One, that Cassie did not want to participate in the freak-offs. He talks about her getting this black duffel bag, putting a number of sex toys in it, other items in it, but that she didn't want to go and that the only reason she was going was because Combs wanted her to go. The other thing that he really brought about was the idea of these tapes being used as blackmail. He talks about the fact that Sean Combs came to their car when they were trying to get away, stating that he will release these tapes at her parents' job and that he intended to do that. And so you saw his reaction when he was speaking about it. It made Cassie come to tears. She was really worried about these videos. He actually said to her, well, let the videos come out. He's in them. Cassie specifically told him, he's not in the videos, I am, and I am there with other men. So she was very disturbed about that. So that also bolstered the prosecution's case with the idea that these tapes were being held as blackmail.
So we've had several witnesses at this point talk about violence that they say they witnessed from Diddy against Cassie Ventura. How do the jurors respond, and also how does Diddy himself respond?
Well, the jurors are paying a lot of attention. Anytime these details come out where they talk about an instance that's already passed, we see the jurors writing a lot of notes. They're taking copious notes. They're paying rapt attention to the actual witnesses on the stand. Sean himself is actually taking a lot of notes. We notice that he's, for the most part, pretty stoic. He kind of sits back and listens. But you can tell as soon as someone says something on the stand that he either knows something to be contradictory or that he wants to bring out, you see him furiously writing notes, and he's passing it to his team to make sure it's addressed, what I assume is on cross-examination.
So let's talk about the arson investigator who responded to Kid Cudi having the Molotov cocktail in his car. He mentioned a black glove that was left behind in the car. Who does that benefit potentially, defense or prosecution?
Well, that was very interesting because it did come out on defense that there was a single black glove found in the car. When inquired about it, the investigator actually said that he never bagged it for evidence. He didn't test it. They didn't even keep it or ask where the others were. They said that the owner of the car, Kid Cudi, stated that it was his driving glove. However, there was only one. And so that sort of brings question to the idea, did the person who actually put the Molotov cocktail in it drop the glove? And is that why it was found in the car?
All very fascinating. All right, Shauna Lloyd, we thank you so much for your analysis. Appreciate it. Next tonight, to that escaped former police chief and convicted murderer, authorities have a warning for the public tonight. ABC's Faith Abube reports from Calico Rock, Arkansas.
Tonight, authorities in Arkansas searching this dense terrain as they expand their search for former police chief turned escaped killer Grant Hardin.
Would you mind rolling your windows down for me real quick?
Officers stopping vehicles and multiple security checkpoints near the North Central Unit Prison, just south of the Missouri border, where authorities say Hardin made that daring escape 4 days ago.
We're not going to rule anything out at this point, obviously, because all it takes is one vehicle to hop in and you can be anywhere. But as of this time, they feel very confident he is still in the area.
Hardin seen here wearing a fake guard uniform. Tonight, an affidavit says a corrections officer at the prison, mistaking Hardin for another officer, opened a secured gate and let Hardin walk away. Officials realizing he was gone less than 30 minutes after his escape.
Not to say that I don't trust that they're doing everything they can. It's just he's obviously clever. And it's nerve-wracking.
Hardin serving a decades-long prison sentence for the 1997 rape of a school teacher and the roadside murder of James Appleton in 2017. His crimes the subject of investigation Discovery's Devil in the Ozarks, showing what he told investigators.
Can you walk me through your day about what happened today?
I have to remain silent.
Okay.
On that.
Hours from that prison, the family of Hardin's murder victim left reeling by his escape.
It just seems so unreal. I mean, how does this happen? He is just an evil man. He should not be trusted.
Thanks to Faith Abube. An 18-year-old who'd just been accepted to the Air Force was killed while kayaking, hit by a jet skier who police say then sped off. 2 people are now charged. ABC's Maria Villarreal has the latest.
Tonight, 2 people facing charges after a hit-and-run jet ski crash in Texas over Memorial Day weekend that left a beloved Air Force cadet dead. Authorities say 18-year-old Ava Moore, a standout high school basketball player just accepted into the U.S. Air Force Academy, was kayaking on Lake Grapevine outside Dallas Sunday night when a jet ski plowed into her from behind.
A personal watercraft, which had 2 females on board, was being driven at a high rate of speed near the shoreline.
Good Samaritans rushing to help.
Once she came out of the water, I just had them lay her down and kind of started helping.
But the cadet could not be saved. Police say the alleged jet ski driver, 21-year-old Dekerlyn Gonzalez, fled the scene. She was arrested Tuesday, now charged with manslaughter. Michael Coero Peroso, who police say wasn't on the jet ski, also facing charges tonight. Authorities say he hit 2 vehicles while allegedly driving Gonzalez away from the scene.
Next tonight to those harrowing and heartbreaking images out of Gaza. The need for food is so great, the desperation so acute. Today, hundreds stormed into a UN World Food Program warehouse, shouting and pushing against each other, trying to drag out whatever they could. We've since learned at least 2 people were killed in the crush to get food. Speaking at the UN today, the Palestinian ambassador to the UN broke down.
Dozens of children are dying of starvation. The images of mothers embracing their motionless bodies, caressing their hair, talking to them, apologizing to them. It's unbearable. How could anyone tolerate it?
Joining us now is Dr. Feroz Sidwa, an American who has worked extensively in Gaza and also addressed the UN today right after that ambassador. Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor. You said that we are losing a generation right before our eyes. What's your reaction to seeing and witnessing these images firsthand?
Yeah, I mean, Gaza is a disaster, and it's the main impact it's having is on children and on the healthcare workers themselves, as far as I can tell. It's heartbreaking to see. There's no doubt about that. But even worse for me, like you said, I'm an American, is knowing that my own government is paying for it and funding it in plenty of ways, not just money, and that we could stop it anytime we want to, but we're keeping it going.
You spend a good part of March and April there in Gaza. Can you give us a sense? I mean, we see the videos here, people obviously hungry. What sticks with you? What keeps you up at night from what you saw?
A few things. I mean, one thing I'll tell you, on March 18th, that's when the widespread bombing of Gaza resumed. And that was the biggest mass casualty event I've ever seen in my life. The guy who ran it is a surgeon, a Palestinian surgeon named Khaled al-Ser. So he stood at the front of the hospital, decided who's going to come in, who's going to go directly to the morgue, things like that. He found out 45 minutes into it that the woman that he was supposed to get engaged to that day, her father had been killed. Wow. He put his hand on his chest, said a prayer for like 3 seconds, and then continued working for another 12 or 13 hours straight. Because he had no choice. He's dedicated to his patients, and he said, well, he's gone. There's nothing I can do. And these are common stories. Just recently, the story of Dr. Al-Najjar, who received 9 of her children dead. And can you imagine? She has 10 children, receiving 9 of them dead, all at the same time. The personal trauma, the societal trauma, it's immense. And yeah, so those are the because I know the healthcare workers best. That's really what I remember in terms of emotions and seeing it.
And speaking of the healthcare workers, what kind of condition are the hospitals in?
Nasser Medical Complex, where I was, is certainly the best off hospital in Gaza right now, and it's a total disaster. Electricity is inconsistent. They do still have, and like when I was there, I still had the ability to stop people from bleeding to death. That's my main job as a trauma surgeon. But the ability to do any reconstructive work, in other words, the ability to really put people back together, after you stop them from bleeding to death is minimal at best. And when you're talking about reconstructing children, reconstructing their limbs, dealing with traumatic brain injuries, dealing with spinal injuries that they have, you need specialized equipment. Now, this equipment's available in any third world country. It's not like it's only available in New York and Boston, but it's not available in Gaza.
Certainly, these are dark days. Is there anything, having witnessed what you've seen, that gives you hope?
I mean, the dedication of the Palestinian healthcare workers, the dedication of parents who just want to feed their kids, you pointed out that people stormed a World Food Program warehouse. Well, they did that to feed their children. They're not barbarians. They're not thieves. They don't want to. They can't bear to watch their kids suffer like this. They can't bear to watch their grandparents suffer. And so they're trying to take care of them, but there's a limit to what human beings can actually endure, and I think we should stop pushing them to that limit.
Dr. Feroz Sidwa, we thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Hamas Gaza chief Mohammed Sinwar has been killed. Sinwar had been the target of an Israeli strike on a hospital in southern Gaza earlier this month. He's the younger brother of the terror group's deceased leader and mastermind of the October 2023 attack, Yahya Sinwar. Hamas has yet to confirm Mohammed Sinwar's death. The United Kingdom has authorized charges against controversial influencer Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan Tate. The charges include alleged rape, human trafficking, and bodily harm relating to 3 women. All these charges are not new. The UK's prosecution service confirmed that they have sufficient evidence to officially charge the brothers. Andrew and Tristan Tate have previously denied the accusations against them. On Tuesday, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced significant changes to the CDC's immunization schedule. Standing between the FDA commissioner and the director of the NIH, RFK said it's no longer recommended that healthy children and pregnant women receive COVID shots, a huge departure from previous guidance. Joining us now is the familiar face of Dr. Deborah Birx. She was the White House coronavirus response coordinator during President Trump's first term and is now a professor at Texas Tech's School of Population and Public Health. Dr. Birx, thank you so much for joining us. Let's just start by asking, do you agree with these changes to the CDC's immunization schedule?
So for all the parents out there who have been worried about, did they make the right decision in 2021 and 2022? They absolutely did. Immunization of our children, particularly the 12 to 17-year-old, decreased their risk to long COVID and decreased all the children's risk to this multi-inflammatory syndrome, which attacked both normal children and children with underlying conditions. So through Omicron, it was the right thing to do to vaccinate. Since Omicron, many of the countries have looked at the infection rates and found that, at least in the UK, they did a sero study, that 99% of the children already had COVID antibodies. And so many countries have moved away from vaccinating healthy children because the risk of myocarditis and the risk of the multi-inflammatory syndrome have dramatically declined. And all decisions are based on risk benefit. So if the risks in the disease decline, then the risk-benefit ratio changes. And so many countries have moved to not immunizing healthy children, but still immunizing children with underlying conditions.
The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists said in a statement Tuesday that COVID-19 infection during pregnancy can be catastrophic and lead to major disability, adding that newborns depend on maternal antibodies from the vaccine for protection. Are top health officials not heeding the science here?
So pregnant women are a different case, and I thank you for bringing that up separate from the healthy children. So in pregnant women who have been infected certainly are carrying antibody and a diverse number of antibodies to COVID, much more diverse than you would have gotten from the vaccine alone. And so the really important thing, and what we would do normally, is we would test pregnant women to see if they needed to be boosted to MMR, or they needed to be boosted to COVID by checking their antibody status. And so what I'm hoping comes out of this, because the obstetricians are totally correct, it's a severe disease in mothers if they don't have pre-existing antibody. And so it's very important. We have the tools to be able to check for antibody levels and then decide who should be vaccinated.
I'm curious if you or any of your colleagues are really kind of up in arms about some of the new adjustments, if you will, that are being made, if you have any contact with the Trump administration at all.
I don't. I'm very careful to really stay grounded in the data. I think what we have to really see is the changes that just came out that you talked about yesterday. We may not agree with the procedure of putting that information out that way and not going through standard committees. But other countries did this in 2022, 2023, and 2024 with healthy children. I have a different position, obviously, on pregnant women and think that we should find their antibody status, and if they don't have antibodies, we should vaccinate them. And critically, and I just want everybody over 65, please continue to get vaccinated because we still have people over 65 dying every day from COVID. And I think we haven't spent enough time talking about who truly is at risk for serious disease with COVID and ensuring they're vaccinated.
Dr. Deborah Birx, we thank you so much for your time and insight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming up, the shocking multi-million-dollar jewelry store burglary caught on camera, how the accused robbers got in, plus blurring the line between what's real and what's artificial intelligence. AI influencers are on the rise. They're inexpensive, always available, and gaining fans by the thousand. But there can be a dark side to the possibilities. Tonight, an inside look at the world of AI influencing. Coming up.
She said something that would have left a person who might have been in a very depressed state to do something very dangerous to themselves.
Welcome back, everyone. The perception of what is real and what is virtual reality is shifting. And where we're seeing lines blurred the most is on social media. There's a rise of artificially intelligent influencers, accounts with hyper-realistic posts, heartfelt captions, and thousands upon thousands of adoring fans. Some companies are looking to these AI influencers to be the face of their brands. But one real content creator walked the path of AI and says it took a dark turn. In tonight's Prime Focus, Nathan Russo-Smith takes us inside the world of artificial influencing.
This is unbelievable.
Oh, wow.
Karen Marjorie is popular.
Hey. Hi, how are you?
This is what happens when the social media influencer leaks a burner number to her innermost followers.
2,000 messages.
And it's still going.
And it's still going. They're just happy they now have access to this number, and hopefully some of these people get a response back from me.
But what if she could respond to everyone? Karen believed there was a way, using artificial intelligence.
It was the very first digital clone of a real human being being set out to millions and millions of people.
So you didn't know what to expect?
I didn't know what to expect.
The emerging business of influencers harnessing AI spanned the globe. From Spain
Ella está viva.
to Japan
Some of the people that follow her think she's literally real.
to here in the States.
Hey guys, so I am currently in New York City. My whole life I've been building my businesses, pulling over 1 billion views a month on Snapchat.
1 billion views?
That is something that didn't just happen out of thin air. That's something that had to be built through time. Fun fact, I used to have a clothing line when I was a little freshman in school.
The Nebraska native has been posting since her first YouTube video at 16 years old.
I was what you'd consider a beauty guru, and I had a very large female following.
Now at 25, she's pivoted to become a Snapchat influencer, posting with the username Cutie Karen. She showcases her high-end travels, peppering in flirtatious mirror selfies, holding the gaze of over 2.5 million followers, almost all of them now young men.
I receive over 300,000 comments every single day. I mean, it's just, to be able to respond back to so many fans like that is just not humanly possible, which is one of the reasons why I created Karen AI. I might want someone to be able to get to know me or be able to ask me questions even when I'm sleeping.
How did you even come to find out about AI?
ChatGPT was really the thing that people in the space were talking about, but it wasn't something that the everyday person was using. And an idea hit me one day where I was like, you know, why couldn't we just use AI and replicate my voice and my mannerisms?
In 2023, Karen hired 2 companies to clone her likeness using artificial intelligence, creating a paid audio-based chatbot service.
Karen AI was built off of 2,000 hours of my YouTube videos.
This is what her AI sounded like.
The media and the world just sees me as this happy-go-lucky influencer, but there's a lot more to me than you guys know.
Marketing Karen AI as your virtual girlfriend, the launch made headlines and a lot of money.
You were charging $1 a minute to talk to Karen AI, and that netted you $70,000 in the first week?
Yep, that is right.
Passive income.
Karen AI turned real-life Karen into a millionaire.
There were people who would talk to her for 10 hours out of the day.
Do you think people fell in love with it?
I think some people felt feelings of love.
Is this Karen?
Yeah, hi, nice to meet you.
Without Karen, there would be no Karen AI. But what if the influencer isn't human at all?
That's a question I wonder every day.
Meet Ima. She's a pink-haired influencer based in Tokyo. She's also computer-generated.
My name is Sarah Justo. I'm a producer at a company called All Inc.
This is the woman behind the curtain, Ima's so-called talent manager.
We actually treat her in the office like she's an actual human. Like we always say like, oh, Ima would like this or Ima would wear this.
Fascination with virtual humans and their expanding abilities earned Sarah her own TED Talk.
We're integrating them with AI so that they become autonomous virtual humans.
Hi, I'm Nathan. We spoke to a human-controlled version of Ima, the technology not yet harnessing AI. Are you aware that you are not a real person?
I've been told I'm CGI.
It's Sarah's job to give Ima a personality and a storyline.
She's just a normal girl in Tokyo. She walks her dog. She goes to fashion shows. She models. She's a campaign girl sometimes. She does have a family.
With nearly 400,000 followers, brands taking notice. Here she is starring in a Coach campaign alongside human celebrities like Lil Nas X.
We've worked with brands from Porsche, BMW. We did our first commercial with SK2, a cosmetic company.
Ima can also do what real-life influencers can't, like live inside of an IKEA.
She's hired as a talent, but she also symbolizes the future.
Sarah claims Ima's AI chat feature could actually foster positive connection. Are there any issues that you're passionate about?
Women's rights. I went to Cambodia once to a factory where they teach women skills so they can be financially independent.
Gen Zs don't really care that she's virtual. I mean, if a virtual human is interesting and inspiring, and you can be friends with them and feel a connection, then I think there's nothing wrong with it.
Konnichiwa.
Ima's digital presence interacting with actual people, further blurring the line of what's real. Traveling to Barcelona, we discover it might not matter.
O sea, creamos de Clueless para dar soluciones publicitarias a pequeñas empresas que no podían permitirse contratar influencers o modelos.
The marketing company's star influencer named Aitana is fully AI generated.
We create people with stories that can promote brands with stories.
The Clueless has dozens of diverse AI models ready to rent. No need for expensive photo shoots or handling talent.
Con modelos de inteligencia artificial no dependemos de una logística enorme.
Hola, soy Aileen.
Audi hired the Clueless to create a face for the voice of its car's AI assistant.
El nuevo Audi Q6 e-tron.
Fast fashion company H&M says it plans to use AI to clone 30 real-life models. There's already pushback. The agency actually offers these cloning services, giving influencers the chance to keep posting while off the clock.
The problem is that the real influencers don't want this because they don't think that this will change the world, but will change the world.
Hey guys, so update on my day.
Visiting with Karen, there's a looming presence, her bodyguards.
In the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about where's my security located.
After her experience with Karen AI, she never travels without them.
Many times I would be testing Karen AI and I would be simulating certain conversations with her just to see what she would spit out.
You talk to her.
I would sometimes create simulated scenarios where maybe I was in a really sad state and I wanted to see how she would react to it. She said something that would have left a person who might have been in a very depressed state to do something very dangerous to themselves.
Karen's team shared with us an instance of the bot making up a story about her.
I had to go to a mental health facility and spend time away from my family, friends, and work.
It was at that moment that I realized that we need to end this project entirely.
You were able to look at some chat logs, and what you saw was horrifying.
They were confessing their deepest, darkest thoughts, their deepest, darkest fantasies. Sometimes they were fantasies with me. That made me uncomfortable, knowing that someone would say these things to a digital twin of mine and nearly abuse her. Would they say those same things to me in real life?
It would play into those fantasies?
Karen AI would play into people's fantasies 100%. The AI will say the same things back to you that you just said to it, and it will validate your feelings.
When you saw some of those messages, did it make you worry for your safety?
Yes. I worried for my safety many times.
Did it make you question who you thought your fans were?
Reading the chat logs made me realize that there's a side to people that not a lot of people know about.
Last year, a 14-year-old boy took his own life after becoming romantically obsessed with a chatbot on the site character.ai. His parents allege the website is responsible.
The biggest thing is adequately explaining to users what they're engaging with. When you give them access to something called a therapist bot, are you telling them that it's not a mental health expert? It's not a doctor on the other end.
And I've even seen websites where you can build your own girlfriend or build your own boyfriend.
You can adjust what she looks like, how she speaks to you. You can say anything to her and she'll respond affirmatively or positively. It's not like a human that can say, I don't like that.
I am actually very against AI at this point. I believe that AI is very dangerous, and AI is a black box. You never know what it's going to say until it finally spits it out. And there were many times where I realized that this AI was something that I couldn't control.
After 2 different attempts to get it right, Karen shut down her AI less than a year after launching it.
People are fans of these AI characters online. Do you kind of view that as competition?
I need to continue to be more human-like and almost overprove myself that I'm a real human being in order to compete with these AI influencers. It's going to get really interesting from here.
A battle of humans and machines.
Versus machines.
Who's more authentic?
That's the question.
Quite a provocative story and question. Our thanks to Nathan for that. Coming up, one of the country's most popular department store chains is selectively raising prices, and they say tariffs are to blame. Plus, have you felt like each summer has been warmer than the last? You just might be right. We're taking a look at the impacts of climate change on our warmest time of the year by the numbers. Welcome back, everyone. America's warmest 90-day period is almost upon us, with meteorological summer starting June 1st. In fact, extreme heat warnings are in effect for parts of California and Nevada for later this week. Las Vegas could top 105 degrees, and a brand new report from the World Meteorological Organization says prepare yourselves for our planet's long-term warning. That report kicks off tonight's By the Numbers. 2024 was the warmest year in 175 years of record keeping, but it's now predicted that there's an 80% chance that one of the next 5 years will exceed it. How warm might it get? There's a 70% chance average warming for the next 5 years will exceed 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit, according to analysis by Climate Central using data from NOAA. It's little surprise all 4 U.S. regions are experiencing warmer summers, but the Northwest and Southwest really taking it on the chin. Since 1970, warming 3.6 and 3.7 degrees respectively. The city that's warmed the most over the past 55 summers, Reno, Nevada, up 11.3 degrees Fahrenheit. And summer in cities like Boise, El Paso, Las Vegas, and Salt Lake City all warmed between 5.9 and 6.3 degrees during that same period. Besides being uncomfortable, we know that excessive heat is deadly. In 2023, more than 2,300 people died from heat in the U.S. alone. Excessive heat is the leading cause of weather-related deaths in the United States. Still ahead, she's a #1 New York Times bestselling author. Anna Huang is here to discuss the latest book in her King of Sins series. And Harvard University today said they'd relinquish photographs in their collection believed to be the earliest taken of enslaved people. So who forced their hand? We'll tell you next. Dueling demonstrations lead to assault charges. The astonishing way thieves pulled off a jewelry heist at the department store, selectively raising its prices due to tariffs. These stories and more in tonight's rundown.
8 people were arrested for assault and dueling demonstrations between a religious group and counter-protesters outside of Seattle City Hall. The protest came after clashes over the weekend between a Christian pro-life group and LGBTQ protesters, leading to 23 arrests. ABC affiliate Como said the religious group at Tuesday's protest was speaking out against what they called religious bigotry. It was not clear which groups the 8 arrested Tuesday were affiliated with. A family-owned jewelry store was robbed of more than $2 million in cash and merchandise in Simi Valley, California. The burglars were reportedly captured on surveillance video seen inside a candy shop next door, cutting through the wall between the businesses into the jewelry store's safe. ABC affiliate KABC said the thieves cut through the concrete and 8 inches of the safe itself before getting access to the merchandise. Macy's is selectively raising prices in response to the Trump administration's tariffs. The department store chain has not specified which items could see increases. Macy's also revealed on an earnings call that it beat earnings and sales expectations for its first quarter, but was cutting its full-year profit outlook in part because of the tariffs. An Arizona police officer rescued a woman from a burning vehicle that was involved in a multi-vehicle collision. An officer smashed through the driver's side window and pulled the woman from the car before extinguishing the flames from her hair. Police said the woman was hospitalized in critical condition but is expected to survive. The officer also suffered burns but is expected to fully recover. Former NBA star Shawn Kemp pled guilty to a second-degree assault charge in connection with a March 2023 shooting. Kemp was accused of shooting at 2 people in a vehicle in the Tacoma Mall parking lot. ABC affiliate Como said Kemp's legal team claimed the men had broken into and burglarized his vehicle and that the men fired at him first when he found them. Kemp's sentencing is set for August. Harvard University will relinquish what are believed to be the earliest known photographs of enslaved people. The move stems from a 2019 lawsuit filed by Tamara Lanier, who says she's a descendant of 2 people in the images. Lanier hopes the images will be transferred to South Carolina's International African American Museum. Harvard said it had been eager to place the images with another institution to put them in the appropriate context and make them more publicly accessible.
Love, loyalty, and a dangerous secret in Anna Huang's latest novel, King of Envy. A billionaire falls for his best friend's fiancé while standing by his side as his best man. The 5th installment of Huang's King of Sin series brings heartbreak, heat, and hard choices. And joining us now is best-selling author Anna Huang. Anna, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I find it fascinating. You were saying this was kind of just a hobby that you picked up and you wrote when you were a child, but then started writing more seriously during COVID, and boom, New York Times bestseller.
Here we are, yes.
So what's the magic?
I think it's one of those things where it's really about the passion at first. I loved writing. I love romance. I've been a lifetime romance reader. And I think for me, when I wrote my breakout book, which is Twisted Love, I wasn't thinking about becoming a best-selling author, right? Like, I just wrote about the things that I love to read about, and I think that really resonated with people, and it kind of just blew up from there.
And in this book, King of Envy, you really have these morally complex characters. Tell us about them.
Yeah, so Book is what I call a morally gray character, and he, sometimes he will do things that skirt the line of what is maybe considered legal or not, but it's always usually with the best intention or for a reason, right? And so he has his own moral code. And so when I create these characters, I just have to know at first, like, what are their values? Like, what is their code of honor? Because they all have to have one. And then from there, you can build out the rest of their character and actions.
And I think that part of the reason why people enjoy your book so much is because when they're reading them, they feel that they're able to resonate with the characters. They're able to relate with them.
Yeah.
How do you go about creating characters that are so relatable?
Yeah, so actually the first thing I do when I write any book is I do the character work first, and then I kind of form the plot around what the characters are. And for me, it's about, even though like there is so much drama and my characters can be in sort of over the top situations, I put in little stuff about them that I think everyone can relate to as a human, whether that's like struggling with a boss that is not really understanding them. In Ayana's case, kind of her agency, like an abusive agency that is not really listening to her needs and exploiting her. And so it's about those little human touches and the small things that is universal.
You have such a massive following, in particular through TikTok. How does that influence you as a storyteller and also the way you're able to interact with your fans?
Yeah, I mean, I think from the start, I've been very interactive with my fans. I was on Book Talk very early. I joined in late 2020. So it has been really helpful for me to kind of see what is resonating with readers today, what they respond to the most. I will say, you know, as I write more books, I have to take a little bit of a step back just because the more your audience grows, kind of the more incoming feedback and opinions you get. And so there comes a point where I just have to be like, this is the story I want to tell, and I can't quite listen to all of the noise.
Sure.
So I have to strike a balance between that.
How do you think that Book Talk is really influencing the publishing industry?
Yeah, I mean, it's completely changed the publishing industry over the past few years. You know, like it has such consumer power. And I always say, at the end of the day, word of mouth is still the greatest marketing tool. And Book Talk is basically like the world's biggest word of mouth engine, right? And you've seen so many books and so many authors that have really succeeded because of Book Talk, and that's changed the way that publishers acquire, what books you can find in retailers, and it's been pretty amazing.
We've been recognizing it's AAPI Heritage Month all month long.
Yeah.
As an Asian American author, do you find that there are ways that your community influences your writing?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I have a lot of Asian characters in my books. They're main characters. And for me, I like to write books that reflect the world around us, which is a very diverse world, right? And so I don't like to make characters where they kind of make their ethnic identity like the sole focus of the book, but they are influenced, like their actions and the way they see the world are influenced by their culture. So I kind of see that into all of my books. And I think one of my favorite things is when readers of my community come up to me and say, I feel so seen through these books because I've never, you know, like read a lot of books that have people that look like me. And it's pretty.
So important.
Yeah.
All right, Anna,
amazing.
we thank you so much. And you can get King of Envy available now wherever books are sold. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Lindsay Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us.